Donald Trump may be released from the hospital as early as today, so we will talk a bit about what's going on with that. Gretchen Whitmer, whoops. Gretchen Whitmer loses her dictatorial powers. Your host leaves a monitor on where it gets picked up by the microphone and scares the crap out of himself as he's sitting up on camera. And Zach Ford may have the dumbest take on the internet. I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Good morning, folks, and welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar. What a dumb-assed weekend. Oh my god. All the stuff. I usually don't pay attention to the news over the weekend, but I was looking at a little bit while I was tweeting with a few other things and chatting some other people on, and my god, getting this close to an election, people have just gotten dumb. Dumb. And we'll talk a little bit about that, and we've got some stuff from Twitter over there that I'm going to share with you as well, so I hope you're ready for the ride. I hope that whatever's going on in my neighbor's house isn't killing a kid because somebody's screaming over there. I can hear that. I don't know if that picked up by the microphone or not, but I can hear it. And I hope everybody's okay. They're small children. They like to make noise, so it shouldn't be too big of a deal. But we've got a bunch of stuff to get to today. But before we do any of that, head on over to freedomscoop.com. FreedomScoop.com is going to be your one-stop shop for all of your news and commentary needs. We carry great shows such as the Freckles and Brit Show, who they're now live streaming. So make sure you head on over into their chat rooms and go and check them out and hang out with them on Sunday mornings. The Breakdown with Birkenhoff. We also carry the Daily Ignoramus, the Generational Gap, and the R-Rated Conservative. So come on over, check us all out over there, pick up some of our swag, and help us support great creators. We are going to be going on a drive to try and raise visibility for all of our programs coming up in the next few weeks. So look for changes, look for marketing, and look for more swag that we can put out there and help, once again, support great creators. We're going to it, folks. We've got some great creators, and we want to see them get the recognition that they deserve. So go ahead and check all of us out and help us support. All right. Let's get into the stocks news for the week here. Looks like we had a close on a little bit of a downswing, 0.5% down. Looks like it had fairly regular rise throughout the day, though. A little bit of a rise throughout this, then a big rise, and then just kind of hovering around center until they've closed a little bit low. But that may be news. That may be tied to the fact that the president announced he has COVID-19. Because from what I've been reading from the investors, it looks like now he's coming out of the hospital and coming back. The futures are reflecting good news. So let me get the live chat up here so I can see what you guys are saying and all those wonderful stickers you guys got going on here. Let's get the live chat up and have a look over at that. But let's check out what the investors have to say from this. From Investors Business Daily. Dow Jones futures signal stock market rally on President Trump's prognosis. Stimulus deal hopes from Ed Carson. Dow Jones futures rose solidly Monday morning along with S&P 500 futures and NASDAQ futures amid hopes that President Trump is improving and possibly could leave the hospital soon. Stimulus hopes may be also lifting futures. Yep, they want to spend more of your money, so of course, everybody's going to be happy about that. President Trump said in a video posted on Twitter late Sunday that he's getting great reports from the doctors. He also took a short motorcade ride around Walter Reed Medical Center to wave at his supporters and piss off his detractors, apparently. Trump could be discharged as soon as Monday, according to one of our doctors on his medical team at Walter Reed. Our hope is that we can plan for discharge as early as tomorrow at the White House, said Dr. Brian Garibaldi in a late Sunday morning briefing. The president has continued to improve, said his doctor, Dr. Sean Conley, in Sunday's briefing. As with any illness, there are frequent ups and downs over the course. However, Trump is taking the steroid dexamethasone, which has pissed numerous people off over on Twitter. Conley said that suggests that the president's condition is fairly serious. He's 74. Dude, come on. A study showed the steroid could help severely ill coronavirus patients, but hurt those with milder cases. Then again, President Trump may be urging more aggressive treatments. The president is also continuing a 5-day course of the antiviral remdesivir from Gilead Sciences. The antiviral has been shown to help reduce hospitalization times. The White House said doctors provided a little more detail on Trump's condition currently and going back to Friday morning, after conflicting messages raised doubts about the president's status. Conley confirmed that other accounts that the president was given supplemental oxygen for about an hour Friday morning and as his blood oxygen levels fell and his fever spiked to a high level. Conley wouldn't say how low the blood oxygen levels got. Trump went to Walter Reed Medical Center on Friday evening. The doctors also said Sunday that Trump's lung scans show expected findings, but it didn't say if there was any damage. All right. And I'm going to move on to the futures here because a lot of this is in the CNBC article, but let's just check the futures quick. Dow futures rose 0.75% versus fair value. S&P 500 futures climbed 0.7%, and Nasdaq 100 futures advanced 0.7%. Futures could swing dramatically overnight on headlines about President Trump's health. Remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. So we will see what happens with that. But, once again, as I've always said, the markets hate uncertainty, and nobody knows what's going to happen in 29 days. So some more stuff to pay attention to, some more stuff to watch, and we wish our best to the president, and we wish the best for your retirement accounts as well. We want you to be able to retire comfortably over here on Contemporary. All right, from CNBC, Dow futures rise 200 points as investors monitor Trump's health and stimulus talks. From Yun Lee. Stock futures rose early Monday as investors braced for another volatile week, with President Trump's hospitalization adding more uncertainty to the market outlook ahead of Election Day. Futures on the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose about 200 points, or 0.75%. The move implied an opening gain of about 215 points. The S&P 500 futures also rose about 0.7%, and Nasdaq 100 futures gained 0.85%. Trump, who was hospitalized with the coronavirus, said in a minute-long video posted on Twitter late Sunday that we're getting great reports from the doctors. The president also took a short last-minute motorcade ride to wave to his supporters standing outside the hospital. Yeah, they were protesting outside the hospital too, so stupid is as stupid does, I guess, but why would you protest against somebody's health? I don't care how little you like the guy. Why would you protest against somebody's health? Still, the president doesn't seem to be out of the woods yet after his doctor said they had begun treating him with dexamethasone, a steroid recommended for severe cases of COVID-19. The president was said to have experienced 2 drops in his oxygen levels since his diagnosis announcement just before 1 a.m. Eastern Time on Friday. He was transferred to Walter Reed on Friday after he was given the antiviral drug remdesivir. Trump's physician, Dr. Sean Conley, said Sunday that his condition has improved and the president may be discharged as soon as Monday. This announcement added yet another level of uncertainty to the election, an election that in and of itself is one of the many uncertainties surrounding the stock market. Matt Maley, chief market strategist at Miller Tabak, said in a note on Sunday. After Trump's diagnosis, former Vice President Joe Biden opened his widest lead in a month in the presidential race, with 51% of those polled backing him and 41% saying they would vote for Trump. Yeah, we will talk a bit about that because I'm going to call that bullshit right there. A win for the former vice president in November could spell headaches for Wall Street in the form of higher taxes and tighter regulations, but some also say it could lead to a bigger fiscal stimulus deal that would be good for stocks. Yeah, but you're also going to put a bunch of people out of work when you throw the TPP out there and start bringing Chinese crap back into Walmart, as if they have any trouble with Chinese crap to begin with. So there's a balance going on with that, so we will see what happens there. Let's get into the news. Thank you, CNBC and Investors Business Daily. Moving right along to Business Insider. President Trump could be released from hospital as early Monday. Doctors say from John L. Dorman. President Trump has improved and could be released from Walter Reed Medical Center as early as tomorrow, according to White House physician Sean Conley. While Trump suffered significant oxygen drops on Friday and Saturday while battling the coronavirus, his doctor said that he has not had any fevers since Friday morning. At the Sunday press conference, Conley said that Trump was taking the antiviral drug remdesivir, as well as dexamethasone, a corticosteroid. That's going to be the word of the day, corticosteroid. That is often reserved for patients with severe and critical COVID-19 symptoms, according to World Health Organizations. Anytime somebody says corticosteroid at this point, I want all you guys over on DLive to throw up a bunch of stickers. According to the World Health Organization, Amesh Adalja, a senior scholar at the Johns Hopkins University Center for Health Security, told Business Insider's Alan Woodward that it wasn't unusual to utilize dexamethasone. Dexamethasone is what we use on anybody requiring supplemental oxygen, he said. It's standard, even if it's transient need for oxygen. Yesterday, Trump tweeted that he was feeling well. He has been at the hospital since Friday after he and First Lady Melania Trump announced that they had contracted the disease. In a press conference yesterday, Conley presented a confusing timeline regarding the president's infection on Saturday morning, saying the president was just 72 hours into the diagnosis now, which would have meant that he knew he was sick on Wednesday and not on Thursday, as the public was previously told. He later backtracked and said that he had misspoken. So, absolutely, he's possibly going to be out today. We will continue watching this. I'm sure that Twitter is going to keep us abreast of the situation, especially the detractors to the president, because a lot of them are giving the worst possible takes possible. And just, it is gruesome. And I said it was gruesome when people were sitting and watching, waiting for Ruth Bader Ginsburg to kick, because that was gruesome too. Having a Supreme Court death watch is the most gruesome part of our government, but now these people wishing and praying that the president dies is just, be classy. So we will see what happens there, and we will see, of course, they love to tout the fact that he's so terrible because he's taking a corticosteroid, but we'll see what happens with that. Let's keep moving on here from CNN over on Twitter. Now, I opened this story up, and this is a live blog, so we're 185 stories away from this right now, but I just wanted you guys to see the headline up here. I am sure that your inherent vitality, good spirits, and optimism will help you cope with the dangerous virus, President Vladimir Putin said to President Trump in a telegram, wishing him and First Lady Melania Trump a speedy recovery. And I was more interested in the fact that he did it by telegram. I've never got a telegram in my life, and I'm 36 years old, right? Is that how old I am right now? Yeah, I'm 36 years old. Who uses a telegram? I know people use the social media app Telegram every once in a while, but it's kind of low on the priority poll. But who uses a telegram? My God. But thank you for the well wishes anyway, President Putin. I know that that's going to be something else that the left of this country is going to jump on and go start screaming and being angry about and everything off of this, but yeah. Who uses a telegram? Seriously. I feel like Austin Powers saying that. Who throws a shoe? Seriously. Alright, let's keep going from that. I just thought you guys would find that funny. From 19 News out of Cleveland, the Cleveland Clinic, host of the first debate, releases statement following President Trump's positive COVID-19 test, in which he has now started using a corticosteroid. From Chris Anderson, the Cleveland Clinic said all presidential debate participants and individuals traveling with both candidates tested negative for COVID-19 prior to the event. Protocol from the Cleveland Clinic required screening for anyone who went inside the debate hall on Tuesday night. The Cleveland Clinic provided the following statement to 19 News. And it didn't start with a hiccup, that was just me. Our thoughts are with the President, First Lady, and all of our guests. As health advisor to the Commission on Presidential Debates and the host site, we had requirements to maintain a safe environment that align with CDC guidelines, including social distancing. I am going to be so fucking glad when I don't have to hear those two words together anymore. Hand sanitizing, temperature checks, and masking. Most importantly, everyone permitted inside the debate hall tested negative for COVID-19 prior to entry. Individuals traveling with both candidates, including the candidates themselves, have been tested and tested negative by their respective campaigns. Based on what we know about the virus and the safety measures we had in place, we believe there is low risk of exposure to our guests. Out of an abundance of caution, we are reaching out to our guests to address any questions or concerns. We will continue to monitor the information being released by the White House. The statement from the Cleveland Clinic comes after President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump shared positive test results for the coronavirus on Friday morning. Guests were also advised by the Cleveland Clinic to wear masks when in the debate hall. Several supporters on President Trump's side of the room reportedly refused to wear a mask during the debate despite being asked by a doctor. The city of Cleveland also released a statement after the news involving President Trump surfaced. The city of Cleveland is aware of positive cases of COVID-19 following the September 29th presidential debate. In total, at this time, we are aware of 11 cases stemming from the pre-debate planning and setup, with the majority of cases occurring among out-of-state residents at this time. Though that could change, no city residents appear to have contracted the virus as a result of the event. Now, I'm getting conflicting stories off of this because... And I didn't grab Tim Pool's source from this, but from other sources I'm hearing, Chris Wallace and the debate team from Fox News got up and said, well, President Trump was late, so we threw out the test for this time because they were late and we had to get started because we had to get our ratings up there and make sure that this started on time. This is a presidential debate between two geriatric candidates. You don't get to skip protocol because it suits your television timeline. So yes, no, Trump should have been tested up before this. Now, there are reports that he did test negative before this, so we're watching this go as we go along. But yeah, the city of Cleveland and the Cleveland Clinic are in complete cover your ass mode. CYA. Cover your ass. But I don't... There's so much protocol that goes with this, and yet still they're going to run out and say, oh, no, we're going to do this for ratings. So we'll see what happens up off of this. Thank you, Cleveland Clinic, from the Wall Street Journal. If it loads, I thought this was preloaded. I guess it wasn't. From the Wall Street Journal, Trump's COVID-19 steroid treatment breaks from the norm, doctors say. In spite of the fact that 2 articles ago, they were just saying that this is totally normal. I've never really been much of a person who goes to hospitals, so I don't know what's normal and what isn't normal, but anytime you're on oxygen, they give you dexamethasone, a corticosteroid. So, let's keep going. From Joseph Walker and Jared S. Hopkins, details of President Trump's symptoms. Oh, fuck you and your paywall. God damn it. And I didn't archive this one. Alright, we're going to save that, and I'm going to do that one tomorrow because I've got to archive it so I can figure out what the hell it is that they said. On-air production live. Great stuff, guys. But you keep coming back, so I must be doing something right. From Business Insider, Trump's drive-by stunt was branded as insanity by a Walter Reed doctor who said the president put the lives of Secret Service agents at risk for political theater. From Adam Payne. President Trump has been accused by a doctor at Walter Reed National Medical Center of putting the lives of Secret Service agents at risk for political theater after the president surprised supporters with a public drive-by on Sunday. Dr. James P. Phillips, an assistant professor of emergency medicine at George Washington University, who is also an attending physician at Walter Reed, where Trump has been hospitalized, said the irresponsibility is astounding. In tweets lambasting the president for sharing a car with Secret Service agents while still infected with the coronavirus. Trump was filmed temporarily leaving Walter Reed in the back of a black car on Sunday evening after being admitted there Friday for treatment from the coronavirus. I want to show you this picture for a second here and remind you of what's actually going on here. Now, Trump is sitting in the back of the Beast, which is hermetically sealed, so nothing's getting in and out in this car, with a mask on. Now, I've been told from the beginning of this little control experiment that they've been doing with the mask is that having the mask makes it impossible for you to send the disease out to everybody else. And only if you don't want to wear a mask, you are killing grandma. I have been told that mask is the be-all, end-all to making sure that nobody gets this virus ever. But there he is with the mask on, giving a thumbs up to his supporters. What's the actual narrative here? Is it wrong because he's doing it? I don't understand. I don't understand. All right. Trump was filmed temporarily leaving Walter Reed in the back of a black car on Sunday evening after being admitted there Friday for treatment from the coronavirus. Suited and wearing a mask, the president waved at cheering supporters on the street in what he described in a video statement posted to Twitter as a little surprise visit to some of the patriots we have out in the streets. Phillips said this is insanity and noted that under the official U.S. coronavirus guidance, the security personnel traveling in the car with Trump would need to quarantine for 2 weeks because of their exposure to the virus. He tweeted, "Every single person in the vehicle during that completely unnecessary presidential drive-by just now has to be quarantined for 14 days. They might be sick. They might die. For political theater commanded by Trump to put their lives at risk for theater, this is insanity." In a second tweet, he wrote, "That presidential SUV is not only bulletproof but hermetically sealed against the chemical attack. The risk of COVID-19 transmission inside is as high as it gets outside of the medical procedures. The irresponsibility is astounding. My thoughts are with the Secret Service forced to play." So, something to consider when you're talking about the president. Now, I didn't know this. I heard another commentator talk about this, and then I went and looked it up for myself. As the president, you are not allowed to drive your own vehicle. A big reason I don't want to be president, in spite of the fact that I made the promise that if you guys get me up to 2,000 YouTube subs by 2022, I will run for president. If you guys get me up to that point, I will run for president. But I don't want to be president because, you are not a free man as the president. You are the property of the people up there. So, but there are so many procedures that went through this already, and I'm sure they knew the risk. You're taking away agency from people who signed up for the job to protect the president. So, yeah. Anything to try and smear the president. All right, let's keep going here. From the Daily Wire, poll taken after Trump's diagnosis finds Biden only leading by 2 from Hank Berrien. Now, both the polls that we've talked about, because I mentioned the other one back in the Investors Business Daily article, both of the polls that we're talking about at this point are outliers. We do need to make sure that we look at the aggregate. The aggregate's not even accurate at this point because of so many cherry-picked polls trying to make sure that one thing comes out one way or the other. Reuters has always been the most accurate coming up into this, but aggregates are the closest you are going to get to reality, and they're not even really that accurate. But we'll see what's happening here. From Hank Berrien. On Saturday, the day after it was revealed that President Trump had contracted the coronavirus, a new poll from John Zogby Strategies was taken, and it showed something startling. A former Vice President, Joe Biden, was leading President Trump by only 2 points, 49 to 47. Zogby's July 8th poll found Biden leading Trump by 7 points, 49% to 42%, while their August 29th poll found Biden leading by 6 points, 48% to 42%. The poll, which surveyed 1,006 likely voters across the nation, stated that Biden is leading among Democrats 91% to 8%, voters 18 to 29 years of age 60 to 35%, and those 30 to 49 50 to 45%, as well as among women 56 to 41%. Progressives 85% to 15%, liberals 85% to 14%, and moderates 58% to 36%. He also leads among Hispanics 61% to 34%, and blacks 87% to 11%. Trump, the poll wrote, leads among fellow Republicans 94% to 6%, voters 50 to 64, 53% to 45%, and those over 65, 50% to 47%. As of right now, Trump is capturing a slight majority of Catholic voters, evangelicals, and conservatives, and very conservative voters. He's also ahead among whites and parents of children under 17 living at home. So there is definitely an age and generational gap, but I don't see a lot of enthusiasm for Biden off of this. But once again, this is an outlier poll meant to get a certain result. So we will see what happens to there. And once again, always use the aggregates. Even if it bogs your computer down, go ahead and use RCP. Absolutely use RCP. All right, let's keep going. From Fox News, Tom Arnold shares Hope Hicks' cell phone number after she tests positive for the coronavirus. What the fuck is wrong with people? Seriously, I don't understand why you would feel that you have the agency to do something like that. From Nate Day, Tom Arnold shared Hope Hicks' personal cell phone on Twitter just hours after news broke that she tested positive for coronavirus. Hicks, a counselor to President Trump, tested positive for COVID-19 on Thursday, according to an administration official, and she had traveled with the president a number of times within the last few days. In a since-deleted tweet, Tom Arnold offered fans an opportunity to speak with Hicks directly. Silent thoughts and prayers aren't enough for a national treasure, Hope Hicks, the 61-year-old actor wrote. She needs to hear them. Arnold then shared a number he claimed to be her personal cell. The star had been very outspoken in his disdain for Trump and the current administration. In June, he called for liberal men to exercise their Second Amendment rights on unmarked law enforcement in Washington, D.C. Dude, Tom Arnold, the president broke Tom Arnold. There are a couple people that he's broken at this point, but the president broke Tom Arnold. Holy fuck, he broke him. He snapped that poor dude's mind in half. And you know who else he broke? The president broke Joe Walsh. Like, big time broke Joe Walsh. And not the cool one that's just an ordinary average guy. The dude that ran for Congress out of Illinois 6, I think it was. Was it Illinois 6 or Illinois 8? I don't know. I'm sure Miami 1984 is in the chat today, and he's going to correct me. So, I think it was 8. Anyway, yeah, Trump broke that dude too, but he broke Tom Arnold. To the point that he didn't think he has carte blanche to do shit like that. And now, one of the things we have to pay attention to when we're going along with this, and I actually did a report. It's the first time I've ever had to sign a report on Twitter. It might be because there was a blue check involved with that, but I don't know. If you're reporting people on Twitter, you might actually have to put your name on there to assert that you're signing, and I don't understand why they're doing this, but somebody did turn around and dox out Tom Arnold's address. And I reported that because we can't be doing the tit for tat off of this one. We don't give out staffers' personal cell phone numbers to try and keep them safe. So for the same reason, we don't go out and give away somebody's address, even if it is in the Walk of Stars or whatever the fuck they call it in Los Angeles. Even if it is on the Hollywood map and whatever. We still don't give that out. We don't do that. But, yeah, thanks for being a jackass, Tom Arnold. And he's got the Super Me t-shirt on. All right. Let's listen to the video, actually. So, the president put out a short video on Twitter telling us that he was in good health and good spirits. So, let's see what he has to say here. I gotta turn your volume on.
I want to thank everybody for the tremendous support. I'm going to Walter Reed Hospital. I think I'm doing very well, but we're going to make sure that things work out. The First Lady is doing very well. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I will never forget it. Thank you. I want to thank everybody for...
So that was a short video when he announced that he was going out to the hospital. And it looks like he's going to be coming home at this point. The Bradford File, by the way, loves President Trump. And Andreo Lee Felipe says, hang on, COVID. And Murray says maybe this will finally mark the end of Trump's insane coronavirus rallies. The universe karma has spoken. Yeah, some of the... I mean, there's no class left in this world, people. I'm sorry. We need to do better. We need to raise a generation to do better. All right, let's keep going. From Box. Weekend update mocks Donald Trump's coronavirus diagnosis. I wish him a very lengthy recovery. From Tyler McCarthy. You know, when I was actually starting to think about going off of solo videos and doing live streams like I'm doing now, I almost did a comedic weekend update thing instead of what we're seeing now. I was debating doing a weekend update because that was my favorite segment on Saturday Night Live. Even if I do force myself to sit through SNL now, which good luck with that because they're so political and I don't want politics in my entertainment. But even if I do force myself to sit through it for educational purposes or for something to do on Contemporary or the Red Ned Show for that matter, that's always what I look forward to is the weekend update. Because in spite of the fact that they're bitterly partisan, it's still funny. Norm Macdonald was a legend. And I'm sure that there were people that did it before him, but that was where I was starting to pay attention to SNL, was Norm Macdonald days. All right, let's keep going. From Saturday Night Live made light of Donald Trump's coronavirus diagnosis during the season 46 premiere's Weekend Update segment. Hosts Colin Jost and Michael Che returned to the Weekend Update desk for the first time since the pandemic shut down production on the long-running NBC sketch show. They immediately jumped on the opportunity to mock the president for contracting the potentially deadly virus after downplaying the severity of the pandemic for months. The host pulled no punches in their rebuke, mocking Trump just hours after it was announced that he was taken to the Walter Reed Medical Center for treatment. Say what you will about 2020, but it's got moves, Jost began in the segment. This news was a lot for us to process a day before we came back on the air after 4 months off, and it happened so fast. I woke up yesterday and heard the president had mild symptoms, and then 4 hours later he was getting medevaced. Not true. He went on Marine 2, or Marine 1 rather, up, walking around. Get your fucking facts straight. To a hospital in what looked like the last chopper out of Vietnam. Oh my fucking God. He added, I've got to say it's a bad sign for America when Trump said he tested positive for a virus 60% of people were like, prove it. He joked that it's been weird to see how many of Trump's opponents and critics have publicly wished him well since announcing in a tweet late Thursday night that he and First Lady Melania Trump had contracted COVID-19. I think a lot of them are just guilty that their first wish came true, he joked. Che took the reins from there, unequivocally saying that he finds the president's illness funny. All right, look, this is weird because a lot of people on both sides are saying there's nothing funny about Trump being hospitalized with coronavirus, even though he mocked the safety precautions for the coronavirus, and those people are obviously wrong, he joked. There's a lot funny about this, maybe not from a moral standpoint, but mathematically. If you were constructing the joke, this is all the ingredients you need. The problem is, it's almost too funny. It's so on the nose, it'd be like if I was making fun of people wearing belts and then my pants immediately fell down. Okay, maybe I don't want to watch SNL anymore, even to do segments for either one of my shows because, yeah, they're not funny. He also mocked the president for holding rallies amid the pandemic, noting that it was an example of him further flaunting coronavirus precautions. By the way, is anyone surprised by this? Che asked. I honestly thought that Trump was trying to get the coronavirus. Thought it was like Groundhog Day when Bill Murray knew he couldn't die and he was just trying anything. So all those maskless rallies Trump was having, that was him being safe. Look, I don't want the president to die, obviously. Actually, I wish him a very lengthy recovery. Boo! Joss closed out the segment by implying that Trump would not be as graceful as his presidential opponent Joe Biden if the situation were reversed. Okay. I will say that despite everything, President Trump seems to be in good spirits. He tweeted a message that ended with love and 3 exclamation points. So it sounds like they're cutting his hydroxychloroquine with a little bit of Molly. Jesus fucking Christ. Actually, that was kind of funny, I'm not going to lie. Just said it. And then, this was good. Just hours ago, Trump released a video from the hospital saying he was in better health, which is great news, but I will point out that if the situation were reversed and it was Biden who got sick, Trump would 100% be at a maskless rally tonight, getting huge laughs, doing an impression of Biden on a ventilator. Just saying. Probably not. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's going to be a no, but yeah, that's what we're seeing from that. They're not funny anymore. Alright. I've got one here from Mediaite, which is not a NewsGuard verified site, but I want to just go briefly into this one because I was able to verify it through a couple other sources. Joe Scarborough, Trump's positive COVID test, delays Amy Coney Barrett's nomination process 2 or 3 weeks, from Colby Hall. The impact of President Trump testing positive for COVID-19 continues to reveal itself over the next few days still. Joe Scarborough suggests that the nomination process of Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett will likely be delayed 2 or 3 weeks. Why? Explain that to me. I need you to explain to me why that delays that. Trump's part of this is done. It's over. Now, there are Senate members that have also tested positive for the virus. That's understandable. But just like with everything else, I mean, when they had Comey on, they had him remoted in. So I don't understand what the problem is for this. And that's pretty much all the further I want to go into this, is I want to understand why this is delaying things. Except for the fact that they want it delayed because they want to get their Supreme Court pick and they want to run on this. They want this to be a single issue election because they can go scream Roe versus Wade as loud as they can for the next 3 weeks and get the vote that they want. So that's what we're seeing. And yeah, no, this isn't going to slow shit down. As much as they're going to try and slow it down, this isn't going to slow a goddamn thing down. Let's keep going. Another one from Fox. Ilhan Omar, the terrorist, shames Biden for pulling negative campaign ads. Get it together. That's probably going to get me kicked off YouTube before I can get 2,000 subscriptions. From Sam Dorman. Representative Ilhan Omar called out former President Joe Biden for pulling negative campaign ads after President Trump's coronavirus diagnosis, arguing that the president wouldn't have offered the same courtesy. Why would Biden delay or suspend his campaign when we know that Trump would have had ads up by noon today, ridiculing Biden for positive test results? Get it together. The Progressive Squad member tweeted late on Friday. The Biden campaign reportedly said on Friday that it would pull negative ads, although the New York Times reported that it might take several days before some ads stop airing. A campaign official claimed that the decision was made before the news surfaced that Trump was being taken to Walter Reed Medical Center, where he arrived on Friday. Biden and his wife Jill expressed sympathies for Trump and the First Lady after their diagnoses. He also tweeted that this cannot be a partisan moment. This must be an American moment. We have to come together as a nation. Trump's diagnosis provided a range of reactions, including blame and criticism. Omar, on Friday, said she wouldn't wish the virus on anyone, and then proceeded to criticize the president's record on the issue. Over 200,000 people have now died while this administration actively ignores public health guidance and suppresses science. Not going to go down that road right now. For months, we have been hoping for simple acknowledgement from the president to hear the words, "We will get through this together." He said that numerous times. And now, we only hear those words when it is about him. No, he's been saying that from the beginning. Get your frickin' turban off of MSNBC or whatever the hell it is. Oh, if this doesn't get my YouTube channel nuked. Not the hundreds of thousands of people who have lost their lives. Citation needed, please. And the millions whose families have been touched by it because of its malfeasance. She said in a press release. Despite Omar's claims, the president has assured the American people that together they would overcome the pandemic. We will have a safe and effective vaccine this year, and together we will crush the virus, Trump said during his RNC speech at the end of August. And White House transcript reveals that as far back as March, he said, "We must sacrifice together because we're all in this together, and we'll come through this together." So, yeah, that's where they're going off of this. And yeah, this is, I mean, I understand that Ballot Harvest over there is going to say go hard against everything as much as you can at this point because we must win this for Somalia. But yeah, that's what Ilhan Omar had to say. All right, let's keep going from NPR, where they read the news like this over on the air, and you listen to it like this while you're driving because that's how they want you to hear it. But we don't read it like this over here because we're not publicly funded. In fact, we're not funded over here. If we do get funded, it's going to be from people like you, not massive tax breaks and massive tax donations coming from the federal government. It is actually going to be a by the people for the people show, so we're not going to read it like this. Besides, don't you think this is a little bit pretentious? All right, let's see here from Jason Slotkin. Michigan Supreme Court rules against governor's emergency powers. Michigan Supreme Court ruled Friday that Governor Gretchen Whitmer lacks the authority to extend or declare states of emergency in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Democratic governor issued an executive order declaring a state of emergency in March and expanded it by another executive order in April. The Republican-controlled legislature passed a resolution that extended the state of emergency, but only until April 30th. Whitmer has since issued more orders related to the pandemic. Whitmer cited two state laws, the Emergency Management Act of 1976 and the Emergency Powers of the Governor Act from 1945, granting her the authority to continue the emergency orders past April 30th. In a 4-3 majority opinion, the state's high court said she does not have that authority. We conclude that the governor lacked authority to declare a state of emergency or a state of disaster under the EMA after April 30th of 2020 on the basis of the COVID-19 pandemic. Furthermore, we conclude that the EPGA is in violation of the Constitution of our state because it purports to delegate the executive branch the legislative powers of the state government, including its plenary police powers, and to allow the exercise of such powers indefinitely, wrote Justice Stephen J. Markman on behalf of the majority. So it looks like this, from what I'm seeing just from this little paragraph right here, it looks like, yes, they struck down the ability for her to do so, and she's not allowed to be a tyrant anymore, but it also looks like that they put a majority opinion, a precedent, if you will, in place that prevents anybody in the future from ever doing this again, which is good, which is what we need. We're not monarchies as much as Gretchen Whitmer wants to be a monarch in Michigan. She has to play nice with the legislature just as much as Tony Evers does. Just as much as Gavin Newsom does, but, I mean, the legislature in California takes turns kneeling down and sucking off Gavin Newsom, so it's a one-party control state, and it is the party, capital T, capital P over there, but it does look like Michigan has put measures in place to make sure that this never happens again. That if you want to make a lockdown like this, which there's probably going to be a lockdown like this at some point, again, this is an imperfect world. There's disease everywhere, and new disease is coming up every day. This might happen again. But the idea at this point, with the decision that they put in with that paragraph, is that if any governor wants to do this ever again, they have to play nice with the legislature. So we will see what happens for that. That's an interesting take on this. Whitmer responded to the decision, calling it deeply, deeply disappointing, and I vehemently disagree with the court's interpretation of the Michigan Constitution. Why are you taking my toys away? Right now, every state and the federal government have some sort of declared emergency, Whitmer said in a statement. Fact check false. Wisconsin has no declared emergency because his ass got struck down too. The ruling also came the same day that Whitmer rolled back the reopening phase of the state's Upper Peninsula region, citing an upsurge in cases there. With this decision, Michigan will become the sole outlier at a time when the Upper Peninsula is experiencing rates of COVID infection not seen in our state since April. I've been to the Upper Peninsula once, and if I remember correctly, nobody lives there. It's about as densely populated as the county that I grew up in, which, with its low density of population, I'm actually not going to reveal. Because, even though it's massive, the county I grew up in is bigger than the state of Rhode Island. But there are so few people in there that you probably know me over there. In any of the cities. Alright, so Whitmer's measures to curb the spread of the coronavirus have been a point of contention between her and Republican lawmakers. In May, as the cases of the state surged, legislatures sued the Democratic governor, arguing that she had overstepped her legal authority in the declaration. The orders and the coronavirus measures also occasioned protests, with hundreds of people, some of them armed, swarming the state's capital. The day of the Supreme Court ruling, a group called Unlock Michigan reportedly submitted some 539,000 signatures calling for the repeal of the 1945 law cited by Whitmer. So, they took her toys away. That's an interesting one. From the Detroit News, on the same vein, Whitmer's COVID-19 orders effectively end as Nestle withdraws enforcement. From Beth LeBlanc. Yeah, she came out and said she was still going to keep these orders in place no matter if they were unconstitutional or not. So she was not ready at all to come and let any of this go, which is a little bit funny. Let's see what Beth LeBlanc has to say. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel will no longer enforce Governor Gretchen Whitmer's executive order on the coronavirus, effectively ending dozens of statewide edicts after the Michigan Supreme Court 2 days ago earlier struck down the governor's emergency powers. Since the state's chief law enforcement officer declined to keep enforcing the governor's COVID-19 restriction on Sunday, the Whitmer administration is now forced to pursue other ways to maintain public health restrictions after it initially insisted the orders remained in effect pending a supposed 21-day legal reconsideration period. This is the Detroit News deep-throating Gretchen Whitmer. Seriously. This is, once again, the media running cover for a famous Democrat because they think they're going to get some kind of fucking kickback. Nestle's office on Sunday made clear the department will no longer enforce the governor's executive orders through criminal prosecution. However, the decision is not binding on other law enforcement agencies or state departments, with independent enforcement authorities, said Ryan Jarvie, a spokesman for Nestle's office. And the people in those regions are going to get up and start walking away and take their tax revenue with them. Uncertainty abounds for residents across the state. Can they visit a loved one in a nursing home? Will unemployment extensions remain in place? Are capacity limits still required in private and public settings? Are schools under the same rules they were when classes let out on Friday afternoon? Based on early local government maneuvers, the court ruling might result in a patchwork of local public health orders because mayors and aldermen know best of what's going on in their specific regions. Funny how that works. Until or unless Michigan's GOP-led House and Senate reach an agreement with Whitmer on a new statutory framework for Michigan's coronavirus response. Oh, this is great. This is great. This is great. So, yes, and that's if your city is hard affected, then turn to your mayor. Absolutely turn to your mayor. All right, so that's what's happening over in Michigan. Let's move on and read from the Hill. Let's see if they autoplay. They autoplay! But I've got the desktop audio off. All right. From the Hill, Supreme Court could threaten the Biden agenda. From Jordan Kearney. The Supreme Court is looming as a roadblock for Democrats as they plot an ambitious wish list if they gain control of the White House and Congress for the first time in a decade. Judge Amy Coney Barrett's ascension to the Supreme Court, which Republicans hope to finalize this month, would lock in a conservative majority likely for decades, setting the courts up as a potential foil for Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden's agenda and the Democratic leadership in the House and Senate. Wouldn't it be nice if you didn't have to worry about any of this shit? Wouldn't it be nice if the federal government only did interstate commerce? The result of a 6-3 court, the Democrats warned, could lead to the justices striking down a host of top priorities for the party that you can then turn around and petition your governor or your mayor or your alderman or your state legislature for. We could see federalism resurge, guys. We could see it. This could happen in our lifetime. Including healthcare, voting rights legislation, or enacting stricter background checks for gun purchases. Unconstitutional, unconstitutional, and unconstitutional. It would be a constant headache, said Dick Durbin. It's just a court that is lopsided. It's not balanced, and a lot of things that Joe Biden values and I value will be at risk. Well then, go into state and local politics. Senator Chris Murphy predicted that the court, if Trump's nominee is confirmed, would be a radical court. Is that unlike what it's been for the last 70 fucking years? A 6-3 court with Coney Barrett is likely to be the absolutist on the Second Amendment. And the heavens opened up and the angels started to sing. Ah! So much of Biden's agenda is going to be compromised by a radical right-wing court that fundamentally believes in the illegitimacy of government to do anything. I read that correctly, right? So much of Biden's agenda is going to be compromised by a radical right-wing court that fundamentally believes that the illegitimacy of the government to do anything. A radical court that believes in the illegitimacy of the government to do anything. You caught that, right? Radical individualism. Radical federalism. Oh my God. They believe their shit. That's the thing, is they believe their shit. Republicans appear poised to confirm Barrett before the November 3rd election through the fallout from President Trump's coronavirus diagnosis, and 2 GOP members of the Judiciary Committee, Senators Mike Lee and Tom Tillis, testing positive, has thrown a dose of uncertainty into what was shaped up to be an otherwise anticlimactic fight. Barrett, if she's confirmed, would be the 6th Republican-appointed justice on the court. Her succession to the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg would mark the biggest ideological swing between a justice and their predecessor since 1991, when Clarence Thomas replaced Thurgood Marshall and the 3rd overall in modern history, according to 538. A radical right-wing government that believes in the illegitimacy of government. I'm sorry, a radical right-wing court. That still blows my fucking mind. Radical governments don't rein themselves in, folks. And just to be fair, we do need to pay attention to the fact that the right wing in this country is no less radical than the left wing in this country as far as what they want government mandate to do. That has been a sticking point and a reason that I have found it so hard to hold my nose and vote for the president this time through, because that he reenacted the Patriot Act, which is a radical big government program that came from W. Bush. But they're not even hiding the ball. The left-wing party of this country wants to be in every part of your life, controlling every part of your life at this point. And a 6-3 majority on the court threatens that. This could possibly be the best thing for individual liberty to ever happen. And I don't even care for Amy Coney Barrett's voting record. But the fact of the matter is that the Progressive Party is much more radical at this point than the Republican Party. So even if the progressives get into power at some point, through some sort of ballot harvesting or ballot cheating or some point, somewhere in the future, We have decades of them being reined in at this point, making sure that they can't get their radical agenda through. This is great. I mean, it's weird that a TradCon Catholic woman had to be the one to usher this in, but still, this is good. So, absolutely, let's keep going from this one here. Now, I'm going to read a little bit from the beginning of this article, but the real meat of this one is buried in about paragraph 11. So, from the Daily Mail Online, fired cop charged over Breonna Taylor's death thought his colleagues were being executed when he opened fire, according to testimony revealed in grand jury recordings. So, they took out the audio and they put 15 hours of audio out of the grand jury recordings so that the people could hear 15 hours of the audio that led them to the decision not to charge the officers in the death of Breonna Taylor. And there is something interesting. It is buried deep into the article. Let's have a little bit of a read from the top here, though. The fired police officer charged over Breonna Taylor's death thought the colleagues were being executed when he opened fire, grand jury recordings reveal. An emotional former detective, Brett Hankinson, describes how he heard Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly was shot in the leg by Breonna Taylor's boyfriend Kenneth Walker during the botched raid in Louisville, Kentucky. Fellow officers Miles Cosgrove had joined Mattingly in the doorway and opened fire on Walker. 6 shots hit Taylor, killing her rather. Speaking shortly after the shooting in March, Hankinson said, "I didn't know if John was down and they couldn't get his body or if he was, but all I could hear was the firing. I saw the flashing. I thought that they were just being executed because I knew that they were helping John because John said, 'I'm hit, I'm down,' and the gunfire intensified." Hankinson was the only officer indicted by the grand jury, which charged him with wanton endangerment for shooting into another home with people inside. He has pleaded not guilty. From the grand jury recordings that I have heard of this, from the statement that I read on the situation, the 93-page statement of this, Hankinson was guilty as hell. The first rule of gun safety and hunter safety is know your target and what is beyond it. And from the testimony that Hankinson gave, and from the testimony that came from the written records of all of this, Hankinson did not know his target and what was beyond it. Hence the wanton endangerment charge that he faces. He is guilty of that. Now, he's still innocent until proven guilty, but I've got a hard time believing that, knowing that little fact right there, that 12 men could find him not guilty on that. But we'll see what happens with that. You have the right in this country to a trial by jury of 12 of your peers, so we will see what happens there. But down here, where is it? Paragraph 11. We'll start with paragraph 10, but we're going to read paragraphs 10, 11, and 12. Hankinson, who had volunteered to work the shift on his day off, added, "We were all kind of the older guys who were put with it because this was going to be the easy location." He also told investigators that the EMT's boyfriend initially claimed she was the one who shot at the officers when they entered her apartment. Hankinson told investigators in an interview heard by the grand jury that Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, had told him she was the one who shot at us. Walker later said that he was the one who opened fire. That is interesting. Now, lawenforcement.com was where I originally heard this. That's where I looked down and sought this back out. Because lawenforcement.com put the headline out that definitively said that Taylor was the one that shot. Now, this part here, I don't know why I want to go point to this up on the screen, but this part here throws a lot of question into what happened with this, and it makes a lot more sense given the timeline and the area of this. Now, there are people out there that said that Breonna Taylor got shot because Kenneth Walker used her as a human shield. I don't know if that's true or not. Or, more likely, and this is definitely something to look at into this, possibly, was that the police were firing in the direction of where they heard the shooting, and they shot back in the direction where they heard the shooting. And then Kenneth Walker realized that an unarmed black girl sleeping in her bed, getting shot by 6 bullets, is going to make the rest of the world go crazy. And we're going to see more riots like this. There may actually be some political motive that's going on behind this. And it is possible. Nobody's going to know other than the people that were actually in that hallway. It is 100% possible that Breonna Taylor shot first. And we will never know what the truth of this is. Ever. And even if the truth does come out with some sort of security recording or footage or anything else that goes along with this that gets revealed years later off of this, people are still going to contest it. So we may never know what actually happened in this situation. All right, let's keep going. From the Daily Wire, LA Mayor drops endorsement of District Attorney targeted by Black Lives Matter, from Eric Quintanar. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti, who served as co-chair for Democratic nominee Joe Biden's Vice Presidential Search Committee, has withdrawn his endorsement of District Attorney Jackie Lacey, a frequent target of local Black Lives Matter activists. In a statement published Sunday, Garcetti shifted his endorsement towards George Gascon, a former assistant police chief for Los Angeles, who counts among his high-profile endorsers Senators Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Governor Gavin Newsom, and Democratic Vice Presidential nominee Kamala Harris. Yeah, exactly the people that you don't want endorsing the person that's in charge of the law. George Gascon will help our country shift the burden up from the criminal justice system and jails towards diversion, intervention, and reentry programs that save money and save lives. I'm done. I'm done. No, Gascon is not going to help the country. He's going to help your state, and he's going to help run your fucking state into the ground. Said Garcetti in a statement posted by Gascon's campaign. He is a leader who I've known and trusted for nearly 20 years who can meet this moment. Lacey, the city's first African-American woman to serve as district attorney, has been criticized by left-wing activists for not prosecuting enough police officers and also not advocating sufficiently for policies and change on behalf of black people. Well, California was one of the big states in the Wild West, and it's going to turn out, I guess, that they're going to be the Wild West once again. Oh my God. There's a balance between the Wild West and military enforcement. There's a balance between abolish the police and militarize the police. But we seem to be swinging towards one side only here, as hard as we can. There is a balance between the two. So, we shall see what happens with this one. It's going to make California living interesting, I gotta say that, if they get their way. Now, I'm sure that there's lines and lines and lines and lines of bureaucracy and red tape that go along in this that would prevent any of this from happening, but yeah. We'll see what happens off of this. All right. I got a little bit of video for you here. Rita Panahi says, look, I had my doubts about the neo-Marxist BLM group, but this activist has changed my mind. Powerful. Let's see what this powerful message that this activist that is gentrifying the BLM movement has to say.
Come on, get out of the way. Get out of the way!
Call the police.
You call the police.
You call.
You got her. There's a woman in the street impeding my ability to go down the street, Central Avenue in Brooklyn.
She's hit the car?
She's hit my car already. It's the cross street Central Way.
It's right in front of Key Bank.
It's by Key Bank, Peter Kirk Park. It's 4th Street. Yeah, she's in traffic right now. We're videoing her. She hit the car, yeah, with her hands.
Guys, I'm totally convinced at this point. I'm going to raise my fist right now because I'm so convinced by this powerful motion. Yeah, you guys didn't really think I was going to raise my fist, did you? I feel like you've been watching this show long enough to know that I wasn't going to do that. Let's keep going. Parents of Parkland shooting victim Joaquin Oliver bring son back digitally in new voting initiative. From CBS 4 Miami. I've got no author given on this one. The parents of Parkland shooting victim Joaquin Oliver have launched a new initiative to encourage young people to vote. For more than 2 years now, Manuel and Patricia Oliver, the parents of Joaquin Oliver, have been fighting gun violence and trying to change gun laws. The Olivers have teamed up with artists for the Unfinished Votes campaign to launch film which uses artificial intelligence to bring their son back to life digitally, to ask people to finish the vote he was never able to cast. This is gruesome. This is scary. Every day, nearly 100 more families lose someone they love to gun violence every single day. We keep telling them, people, that it doesn't have to be like this. They don't listen. So we found a way to bring back someone that no one will ignore, Manuel Oliver said in the beginning of the video. In the video, the Olivers, alongside their late son, recruit voters to replace the ballots of gun violence victims by going to unfinishedvotes.com. I've been gone for 2 years and nothing has changed, bro. People are still getting killed by guns. What is that? Everyone knows it, but they won't do anything. I'm tired of waiting for someone to fix that. Dude. This might be a step too far. Now, those of you who've been watching this show for a long time know that the Boston Red Sox flag used to hang up right there. Right here behind me. And it came down because MLB was using a cardboard cutout of this same kid. And now these parents have made a deepfake of their kid coming up there. This just gives me the willies, man. I stopped supporting Major League Baseball because they were using a cardboard cutout of this kid to fill the stands because they won't let fans in the stands. But this is just a step this is a step too far. This sends a chill up and down my spine. But, yeah, that's what there's. And I think they said the voice actor for this is like Aaron Paul or something like that. Let's see if we have audio for this. I don't know how long this would be, but let's see if this does an embedded play.
I am Patricia Oliver, and this is my husband, Manuel. 2 years ago, our beautiful son, Joaquin, was shot and killed at Parkland. Every day I think about him and what his last moments must have been like.
Meanwhile, every day, nearly 100 more families lose someone they love to gun violence. Every single day, we keep telling people it doesn't have to be like this. They don't listen. So we found a way to bring back someone that no one will ignore.
It's very hard for me to look at this. So please listen to what our son has to say.
Yo, it's me. It's Guac. I've been gone for 2 years and nothing's changed, bro. People are still getting killed by guns. What is that? Everyone knows it, but they don't do anything. I'm tired of waiting for someone to fix it. The election in November is the first one I could have voted in, but I'll never get to choose the kind of world I wanted to live in. So you've got to replace my vote. Go to unfinishedvotes.com, register, then go vote. Vote for politicians who care more about people's lives than the gun lobby's money. Vote for people not getting shot, bro. I mean, vote for me, because I can't. We've got to keep on fighting, and we got to end this.
Yeah, that's chilling. There have been some bad takes on this one too. There have been such bad takes by other commentators on this particular video that I don't even want to share some of them. But let's just say Blonde in the Belly of the Beast just says that she can be totally racist now and blame a deepfake like this one. If it ever comes back out and she wants to enter the mainstream world again. All right, let's keep going. That sends a chill up my spine. All right, from Euro News. Just prevent the autoplay from happening here. In France, Emmanuel Macron presents a plan against Islamic separatism. French President Emmanuel Macron represented his plan to combat Islamic separatism on Friday, announcing his intention to free Islam in France from foreign influences. He said the country would end a system allowing imams to train overseas and would take control of religious funding. The goal of training and promoting in France a generation of imams and intellectuals who defend an Islam fully compatible with the values of the Republic is a necessity, Macron told an audience in Le Miraut, a city located in Paris' suburbs. Macron added that certifying of imams in the country will change the French Council of the Muslim religion, formalizing their training. Many of France's imams come from countries such as Turkey, Morocco, and Algeria. Macron spoke previously on the topic in February. The speech comes a week after a stabbing in Paris, outside the former headquarters of the satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo, that reignited a national conversation about terrorism. So, yeah, I mean, we didn't even hear about any of that coming up from Euro News. No, this is an old article. God damn it. Should have checked the date on this one. That was my bad. So, I'm going to look into this a little bit more after this point because, and I thought this was related to what I was looking for. Macron is, at this point, trying to end homeschooling in France. And nobody's covering that on the mainstream. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of a deep dive and possibly throw something up that's not NewsGuard certified. But we'll look into this a little bit more. I got just a couple more, and then we'll do something that restores my faith in humanity. And they are both on the same kind of story. So, from BNO News, watch actor Rick Moranis punched in the head in an unprovoked attack in New York City. Suspect being sought. And then I've got a news story to go with it. But let's have a listen. And a watch. I suppose there's no volume. A guy in an I Love New York sweatshirt. And a nice big zoom on him. But yep, right there. You can barely see it up in the corner of that, but right up there, there's Moranis underneath where my cursor is, and there's the dude. I mean, Moranis is blurred out in the... I don't understand why he's blurred out in this, but he is blurred out in this. And he takes a pop, and he walks away. All right. So, from CBS 2, out of WLNY, New York, NYPD actor Rick Moranis, a victim of unprovoked attack, caught on camera in Manhattan. The NYPD confirms that actor Rick Moranis was randomly attacked by a stranger on Thursday on the Upper West Side. Police said it happened in broad daylight just before 7:30 a.m. on Central Park West near 70th Street. Surveillance cameras captured the attack on 67-year-old Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Ghostbusters actor. Video shows the suspect ironically wearing an I Love New York sweatshirt walk up and punch Moranis in the head, knocking him to the ground. Police said Moranis went to the hospital with pain in his head, back, and hip. He later walked to the precinct to report the crime. The NYPD's new Community Affairs Rapid Response Team checked on Moranis, as it does with many of the victims of violent crimes, to offer support, groceries, or anything that they may need. He's doing well. He's strong. He's recovering. He has some injuries to his left side, Detective Kaz Daughtry told CBS 2's Jenna DeAngelis. He just wants to stay home. He wants to recover, and he wants peace of mind, said Officer Jonadel. I think that's how you say that. Dorejo. Meanwhile, the search continues for the suspect. Police are asking the public to be on the lookout. Dude, if you want to piss off all of Gen X, go take a shot at Rick Moranis in the middle of the street. He's such a little guy, too. I mean, this guy that's walking away looks like he's probably 6 foot or greater. And, I mean, Moranis, he's just a little guy. He's non-threatening. Either somebody looked up and said, I'm going to punch Rick Moranis today, or he just randomly found the littlest guy on the street and threw a swing at him. I don't know what happened here. But, yeah. He just walked up and done. All right. And that's going to be it for the news today. And I'm going to do something that restores my faith in humanity today to end out the show. And that is the epic ratio that came with this. And I'll actually go and click on the second one in the thread so it brings up the top one. 3.3 thousand comments, 1.6 thousand retweets. I may or may not have been one of those in that. And 280 likes. This guy got ratioed hard over this very, very bad take off all of this, because apparently he doesn't understand why there is a Second Amendment in this country. Yes, we have it so we can go hunting, so we can stand up to a tyrannical government, but it also keeps people like the people that Zach Ford wants to invite into our country off our lawn. And in spite of the fact that I'm sure he's very, very popular in progressive circles, enough people knew that this dude was wrong, and they wanted to make sure that he knew about it. So, reading from Zach Ford over on Twitter, this happened on Saturday. Anybody else feeling like this would be a great time for the U.S. to be conquered? Like, not a violent war, just a really peaceful takeover. More like an intervention by all the other friendly democracies out there who've been watching what's been going on here. You know, there's a reason that there hasn't been a foreign invasion of this country since the 1800s. I think the War of 1812 was the last time there was a foreign invasion, I think. We've had domestic invasions, but the last time there was an armed foreign invasion in this country, I think, was the War of 1812. Someone correct me on that if I'm wrong. And there's a reason for that. Because, I mean, even if somebody came in to Boston, if an invading force came into the Boston Harbor, they'd probably take Boston. They'd go, I mean, it would be a struggle, but they would probably take Boston. They would probably take Worcester. And that would be stopped cold once they got to Ware. And if they got past Ware, once they were in upstate, they were fucked. There's a reason why nobody comes over and tries to come onto our lands, because everybody, from the gangbanger to the one-tooth redneck, has got a gun in this country. You're going to have a pretty big Zerg rush to do an invasion to the level that they tried to do in 1812. States, do you know why you were brought here to... United States, do you know why we brought you here today? Your Constitution was built on a foundation of inequality. All your branches of government have been co-opted by minority rule, and you're endangering the whole world with your ineptness. In short, you're toxic. You're just not putting up with it anymore. We're here to give you a fresh start, a nice little makeover, something more resembling a much better form of democracy. We figured out, since it all started back in 1776. We're just such a hot mess, and it sounds so much easier to fix things if we just get a full reboot instead of trying to make work everything as we have it now. These are my uplifting dystopian thoughts for the day. And honestly, if one of these other countries tried to come in, one of these peaceful democratic countries tried to come in and invade and give us the intervention, You'd hear a lot of rounds racking and shotguns and a lot of people saying, "Get the fuck off my lawn, you fucking hippie." And yes, this got ratioed hard because people aren't going to have it. I mean, the initial tweet, 3,300 comments versus 280 likes. The second one, 164 comments versus 43 likes. And it just keeps getting worse as it goes because people are realizing how stupid the dude is. So, and my comment came up first, actually, because any country that's willing to try is welcome, but there is a reason that there hasn't been a ground invasion since the early 1800s. And Glenn Allen Walken put another good comment up there. Yes, there are many success stories of nations allowing themselves to be peacefully conquered by friendly democracies in hopes of it being fixed. I saw some on Extreme Makeover Colonial Edition. And I commented back to that one, "Oh, dude, is that on streaming services? I totally watched that. I bet one of the one on the DPRK is epic." So, yeah, good on the people for calling this guy out as his bullshit. If he's going to put his bullshit opinion out there, then good on them for calling it back out. Because that was a bullshit opinion. And that's going to be it for the day. We will be back here later on tonight with the Red and Ed Show. We've got a bunch to talk about. Some debate recap, some coronavirus Trump recap, and we'll be talking more about the Melania tapes because I haven't covered those on Contemporary as well, and I'm very interested in them, and I know Elaine is as well. So come back in and check out our weekly roundup there tonight. That is going to be at 5:30 Central Time on all streaming platforms, YouTube, Twitch, DLive, Periscope, and Facebook. Come on over there and check us out. Otherwise, I will be back here tomorrow morning for more Contemporary. Until then, I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.